It could be a defining moment in the JEA controversy in Jacksonville. The board of directors relieved the CEO of his duties just a day after he sat in the hot seat in City Hall answering questions. Today, the leader of the Civic Council explains what community leaders want to see happen and the letter asking for action and accountability. That and much more on This Week in Jacksonville. Thanks for joining us today. We'll also have the state of Florida Senate Minority Leader in our show. Audrey Gibson is with us. And we're going to look at what's happening in downtown Jax with Lori Boyer. First, a week ago, a JEA board member called for accountability in the C-suite. The full board at JEA followed Henry Miller's lead.
I'd also like to apologize to the public. As you heard through board discussion today, transparency is key for us going forward.
As part of that leadership, I take very seriously the leadership of the senior leadership team and the entire organization, and of course we'll think about personnel changes as they are appropriate. That said, I think we have to be very careful about that conversation and deliberate about it and respectful to those people that are involved.
And Henry Brown is who I was referencing, and not Henry Miller. Jeanne Miller is here with us, the CEO of the Jacksonville Civic Council, which is made up of business leaders, executives, leading organizations throughout our region here. And the reason we wanted to talk here is because Civic Council has kind of taken a stand here on what the process has been with the potential sale of JEA. And then this week we got this letter, which I'm looking at, says transparency and action needed on JEA. So just, I guess, update us. Where does Civic Council stand and the folks that you represent?
Sure. And thank you so much for having us on again, Kent. You know, the last 5 or 7 business days, a lot has unfolded for our community. We've had a number of public documents that came available, as well as a lot of discussion by the JEA board. The documents came available on the eve of the hearings that council members Rory Diamond and Ron Salem conducted on Monday. In that hearing, we heard a lot. A 4-hour hearing, and as you probably know, Councilman Diamond's a former federal prosecutor and very effective, as was Councilman Salem. But we learned a lot, but there were so many unanswered questions. But what we did learn is that there was, there was a performance unit plan that was not fully reported to the board. It didn't appear to be fully calculated, and certainly appears to have been anticipating a recapitalization. And when you take all of those things together, and then on the next day, you have the JEA board meeting to discuss Mr. Zahn's contract, as well as his outside business relationships. It causes, when you have a group of executives who understand, not just business, but understand that JEA holds a public trust.
Right. Our
city officials hold a public trust, and that is public money. It strikes, I think it strikes everyone, their sense of integrity and sense of, really a need for understanding and accountability and what has happened. In addition to all of that, the ITN process itself has been rife with a lot of questions that have gone unanswered. And it now seems that it's even on a faster track, towards City Council with very little information. And it's very important. This could be one of the most important questions for City Council and for our city for decades to come. We need to stop, take a moment, take a breath, and really understand the magnitude of the question.
Yeah, 2 different kind of responses this week, because the mayor at the end of the previous week had basically sent this letter or announcement, hey, I'm asking to wrap this up by the end of January, and I want to send it to City Council. The City Council president said, even this past week, hey, I think we all, what you just said, need to take a breath, get through the holidays, then come back and look at this. But there is a lot of discussion about what's happening here with JEA. So you mentioned public trust. The interim CEO now at JEA said, hey, we have to recapture public trust, and there's a lot of work to do on that. Tell me about the letter here, because I know this, it says on behalf of our members, taxpayers of Duval County as well, we're requesting the following. Yeah. And you said they are immediate actions. What's in this letter, and what are you asking for?
Sure. There are 4 items. First is a very public investigation conducted likely by either the Office of Inspector General by the city or an appropriate City Council committee, maybe the City Council committee that could be created, utilizing the city's subpoena power to fully investigate the performance unit plan. The JEA board has determined that a for cause release of Mr. Zahn is not feasible, and in their opinion. Well, in our opinion, that could bear some additional facts, and a factual open investigation of that to determine what is cause in an open setting is necessary and warranted. Moreover, the JEA board should not enter into any kind of severance agreement, confidentiality agreement, or other covenants with Mr. Zahn until we really understand what was responsible, how many, the contracts with his business partners and outside businesses. There are just so many questions there. Second, the question is, the JEA board previously hired Mr. Zahn, who had no public utility experience. So the request is to hire someone outside of JEA who has experience and is a seasoned public utility executive. And there are several out there. I mean, there are several folks out there, and I don't think it will be that difficult to find. But we know that JEA is facing headwinds, but they're also very healthy. So we want someone who can navigate the headwinds, and we've tried it, one way. Yeah. But we believe in order to create stability and restore that public trust, one immediate step would be to scan and look for a seasoned executive in public utilities.
That's something JEA used to be known for, the stability of, we hire from within, we bring people up, they know the utility and the public utility structure there. One of the other things I know that is on here is about asking for a special investigative committee, and then part 4, we want the state attorney, Melissa Nelson, to look into this. How do you feel about that? Have you received any information on that so far?
Sure. Well, not any other information than you would be aware of, but I think it's important to know, particularly on the grand jury side. So you have a public side. City Council should have all of the resources available to it and all of the information available to it, because they're about to take on some very serious issues. And they should have all of that information. So there's the public side. But in the grand jury side, the public will never know if the grand jury has convened. But here's the important point about grand juries in Florida. In the state of Florida, grand juries serve the role of ensuring the public trust, essentially being a watchdog on local government. So it doesn't have to rise to a level of criminality. It just has to be, they're looking for and examining the behavior and conduct of public officials, as well as the operation of city or local government agencies. Yeah. The JEA situation puts this squarely within what we'd call the presentment power of a grand jury in Florida.
Yeah, so this is, I heard Rick Mullaney, our political analyst this week, say because the CEO got fired, some people think this is the end. Really, this could be the beginning of, and some of what you just discussed in terms of finding out more. Jeanne Miller, I appreciate the time and hearing from you about what Civic Council wants to see happen and what the concerns are.
Thank you, Kent.
All right, thank you. So the state of Florida's legislative session begins in just a few weeks. One of the leading Democrats in the Senate is from Jacksonville. Audrey Gibson joins us next on This Week in Jacksonville.
Subaru of Jacksonville has made giving back to the community a priority. We've won the Subaru Love Promise Retailer of the Year, supported many causes, and even recognized as a top 10 partner in Jacksonville. So, of course, we find a way to go bigger during the Subaru Share the Love event. During the event, Subaru donates to charities with every new car purchase. Subaru of Jacksonville is matching that donation to equal $500, plus another $5 for every Subaru vehicle routine service visit. Visit Subaru of Jacksonville today.
Drive a Subaru. You'll buy a Subaru. The old saying, shop till you drop, takes on a whole new meaning when you've fallen and injured yourself in a place of business. The fact is, businesses have the responsibility to keep their premises safe for shoppers. If you've been hurt at a business, it's important you contact Farah & Farah right away. Accident scenes can change, witnesses can vanish, evidence can be lost. When you fall down, we stand up. Farah & Farah.
Professional Bull Riders Pendleton Whiskey Velocity Tour brings the toughest sport on dirt to ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Saturday night, January 4th. Tickets start at $15 and are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, PBR.com, and the Arena box office.
Tired of being a number? At 121 Financial Credit Union, you are our member, an owner, not a number. Since 1935, hardworking families and businesses have trusted us with their banking. Experience our friendly and personal service today. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Back those halls, trim those trees, raise up toast for Christmas cheer. The perfect gift for me would be doing Christmas right this time.
This year, the gift you really want is at Nissan's year-end event. Get holiday savings on our tech-filled lineup, like Rogue or Altima, both with available Safety Shield 360. Hurry in. Holiday offers end soon. Save up to $3,000 on the 2020 Rogue, or get 0% financing for up to 72 months on 12 models.
When there's hope, when you soar, when you help, there's only one news team you can count on to cover the stories that lift you up. Anchors and reporters who put you first, making it worth your time to watch every day. When you want a news team who understands why local is what matters most, watch News 4 Jax every night starting at 5, the local station.
You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
Florida's legislative session lasts 60 days, that is. And in the alternating years, it begins the middle of January. That's the case in 2020, with lawmakers pouring into Tallahassee January 14th. Joining us right now, Jacksonville's Audrey Gibson and the Senate Minority Leader. So, Leader Gibson, thank you for your time. This is something I look forward to kind of every year. We get to talk about before we're going into this. And so the broad view, representing Jacksonville, but statewide matters. What are the big priorities for you as we head into legislative session?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And one of the major issues I know that we will certainly take up is teacher salaries. And that would be the statewide issue. We'll be waiting for the next estimating conference for the budget to see where we are and how much general revenue we may have left over after we do our mandatory spending, and that's where our local projects come from. And a personal bill of mine is the Elder Abuse Task Force that I've been trying to get done for a couple of years now. That simply just establishes a team to review closed cases.
Yeah, so let's lean in on that particular bill for a moment and then some of those broader topics.
Okay.
But this is Senate Bill 400, right? Elder Abuse Fatality Review Team.
Yes.
So maybe explain that for more.
So simply, the bill says that if they want to, in every circuit in the state of Florida, an elder abuse review team can come together. We have one in Jacksonville, actually, and the team simply reviews closed cases. All information is redacted, and if there was a death in that case, it just looks at, were there gaps in services? Is there a way that, as a state, there are policies that we need to put in place or take out of place to have prevented this particular death and any senior deaths as a result of abuse in the future?
Why has this been important to you?
Because, our seniors paved the way for us. And when I think of my own dad at 90, and someone abusing a senior, it's just unfathomable.
Yeah.
And when we can form a team, getting cases from the state attorney's office, close cases with no one's personal information in it, to make us better in protecting our seniors, we should do that.
Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned earlier, hey, we're going to be looking at teacher salaries. What are your hopes there? Because, this last year, we had a new governor and maybe a new way of doing business. It certainly looked from the outside like, oh, this governor intends to work with the legislators in a different way than the previous administration.
Yeah,
was that true, or was that just from the outside?
Well, he still has the veto pen, so there's that. And we'll see how, it was our first time together, if you will. Yeah. And so we'll see what this second time brings. And I certainly appreciate the fact that he has brought up teacher salaries. The issue for me and my caucus is that about 50% or more of teachers get left out of the plan, as well as support personnel. And so I've been working with our caucus staff and with our caucus members on making sure that all teachers get to have an increase. I'm not sure exactly what that amount will be, but we can take the same money and make sure that all teachers across the board get some increase in salary, and then include the support personnel as well. It's not in any way fair that over 50% of the teachers in the state will get nothing, including those teachers who have served for a number of years, and then the teacher assistants and other personnel that are in schools working with our children every day. So
we hear about some of these issues that you don't know if they're going anywhere or not, but one of those, say, recreational marijuana, there's a push there. We hear about, hey, voters last time around, they've already said, hey, we want to restore the rights of people who have been felons. Are there one of those topics that you think, hey, we're going to move the ball down the field this time? Because some of those have been stuck in the past.
Well, first, let us be clear that it is the constitutional right of returning citizens to have the right to vote. That is what the voters approved. And so as far as the governor and his folks trying to put roadblocks there, and we're in court about it, is absurd, particularly since he reflects on himself as going by the letter of the law, and he believes in the Constitution, then there should be no issue. And so we will see if there's a revisit of removing fines, fees, and restitution as a right to vote, which is not what the voters anticipated. And if the governor will do the right thing, and if the Republican-led House and Senate will do the right thing.
It's something that we watch, covering what happens during the session, that the Senate may be here and the House here, and really this is a part in the last minute or so of you guys having to find places, okay, we can work together and come to an agreement, and this is the new legislation or what have you, right?
Yes, we don't need any.
You don't need any new legislation.
We don't, it's the Constitution, and every ex-felon who believes that they have finished their sentence that didn't include fine, fees, and restitution should be registering to vote.
Lots of work that's been done leading up to this point. We will continue to follow what's happening there, and we'll be there with you for a little while in January and February and leading into March. So thanks so much. Senator Gibson, great to see you again.
Thank you.
All right. Well, stay with us. Downtown Vision recently had awards. Well, let's find out more about what's going on at the heart of the River City. The Downtown Investment Authority's Lori Boyer is joining us. Stay with us on This Week in Jacksonville.
For the first time ever, save 50 to 75% before Christmas at the Christmas store at Splash. Pre-lit trees, lights, ornaments, everything for your last-minute decorating, 50 to 75% off, or buy now for next year at the Christmas store at Splash.
Bring all the gifts for under the tree. And while you're at it, bring the tree. Ford F-150, built for the holidays.
Get 20% estimated savings on Ford F-150. Plus, earn complimentary maintenance through Ford Pass Rewards. Only at your local Ford dealer.
Oh, I'm glad you found it.
Oh, we were just happy to get some time away.
You're the first couple to try our new bed and breakfast bundle. It's bed and breakfast in the same room. You wake up to the smell of coffee and bacon, made by a private chef, right there.
So we're sleeping in the kitchen.
Well, I'm sure you'll write it better than that for the review.
Stuck in a bad bundle? Get a great one. Bundle AT&T Fiber and DirecTV and get a $100 reward card. Limited availability may not be in your area. Call 1-877, only ATT.
This is our home. We do what we want, and so does the weather.
The Weather Authority on News 4 Jax has the local forecast you need to keep doing you. Always watching, keeping you covered minute by minute, so inconvenient weather never takes you by surprise. Always tracking, mapping out major changes, so severe weather never gets in your way. This is our home, and the Weather Authority on News 4 Jax knows the weather better than anyone. Always watching, always tracking.
I'm Holt Harrell. The holidays are a time we come together as family. These are the moments and memories we cherish. While we miss our loved ones who can't be with us, we enjoy each other's company and look forward to the hope and promises the new year brings. From my family and all of us at Harrell & Harrell, we wish you and your family the very best for this holiday season.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, inviting you to become a member of the Fields family.
For luxury and selection, see Fields first during the Mercedes-Benz Winter Event. Shop the best of the best. Lease this 2020 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300 for only $419 per month. And right now, let us take care of your first payment. Add in our Fields amenities, service loaners, car washes, and cafes at no charge for our customers. Step up to luxury now at Mercedes-Benz of Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard and Mercedes-Benz of Orange Park on Blanding Boulevard.
For the first time ever, save 50 to 75% before Christmas at the Christmas store at Splash. Pre-lit trees, lights, ornaments, everything for your last-minute decorating, 50 to 75% off. Or buy now for next year at the Christmas store at Splash.
You're watching This Week in Jacksonville on Channel 4.
Thanks for staying with us. Lori Boyer, former city council president. She's an attorney, and she is the leader of Jacksonville's Downtown Investment Authority. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
We keep hearing that there's this focus on growth when it comes to downtown. Where do we stand in terms of that growth that is anticipated or at least desired?
Well, we've been striving to get to 10,000 residents. We think we are getting very close to 6 now. We have over 3,000 units, downtown residential units, so that number keeps growing, and the trajectory is really taking off. So that's big news for downtown. The other thing that's very interesting is the level of interest that we're seeing from not only local developers, but out-of-town developers. So we're now seeing folks that develop in Miami and Atlanta and Charlotte and other places regularly coming in and talking about what's available, what they might acquire.
And is that specific to the residential component, or it's commercial?
No,
it's a wide range.
That's across the board. Yeah. That's across the board. And so that's what we're kind of coming on the map as a downtown area that is growing and interesting to the development community. One
of the things I was interested in, we keep showing video of the landing, where demolition of the old Jacksonville landing continues. We've got some Sky 4 drone video of the former Riverfront Shopping Mall. You can see not much left other than a couple of those buildings on the ends and then part of the building that faced Independent Drive. As this comes down, many of us still wondering what's going to be there after this. Any movement there? Any ideas on what could be coming in place of what was iconic for the city of Jacksonville?
Absolutely. So we're already working on the kind of base due diligence. We're getting the information on where the easements are and title information and all of that so we can start to define development paths. And there is a general consensus that Laura Street would be opened up to the water, and there would be an expanded Riverwalk, and there would be a public park or plaza at the intersection. And then behind that, in the 2 corners of the parcel, would be where we would expect the development paths and the developments to go. In terms of exactly what use those would have, we know we want the first floor or first 2 floors to be publicly interactive and engaging. Whether that's restaurants or other types of experiential venues, there are a whole range of things being talked about that are possibilities there. But then beyond that, whether it's office or residential use above it, could be. Some of that will be left to those investing in it, but the mayor has made it really clear he's looking for something iconic there. And I see the Courthouse City Hall Annex bid that is due to close in January somewhat of a test case, because we'll know what kind of a market response we're really getting when we see that.
So one of the things you mentioned there, that space, I just stayed recently at the Hyatt downtown, and you look out the window, oh, I didn't realize there's so much space. There's green space there right now, but clearly that's a place that could be developed. What are your expectations there?
So we have had that RFP out in the market now for probably close to 45 days already, and it closes in January. I'm in that cone of silence period where, and I may be one of the scorers on it, so I'm going to be a little reserved about what I say, but what the RFP itself describes is a variety of uses. It contemplates that we want to see retail uses on Bay Street as well as on the waterfront. We want the Riverwalk completed and interactive uses with the Riverwalk. We want a view corridor between Bay Street and the water. And then, again, we're looking for density. We're looking for a more urban use on the space. So it could be a combination of hotel, office, and residential, or any one of those.
One of the things that's been mentioned is the core and two-way street conversion. What does that mean? It just means that no more one-ways, and why are we looking at that? We talked a little bit about this in the past.
So our plan for downtown, adopted years ago, recommended converting many of the one-way streets in the central part of the city to two-way. And that seems to be essential not only to making downtown more walkable, to revitalizing the residential and retail uses, slowing down the traffic. It has a lot of benefits for downtown as a neighborhood. And so what we're looking at is only between Main and Ocean, Broad and Jefferson, State and Union. So in that little box. And the initial streets are Forsyth and Adams, and we're hoping to start design on that later this year.
Well, as I was downtown recently, I saw someone getting ready to turn off the street onto the wrong way on Bay and had to wave them down. Don't do that. So maybe it would help from that standpoint to not be confusing for out-of-towners or people who aren't familiar with what's going on
Eliminates
down there.
Confusion, makes it easier to find a parking space, all kinds of benefits.
That's true. Listen, there is a lot going on there, and we keep watching. I know a lot of people are excited about the growth and seeing a change. Lori Boyer, appreciate your time this morning and spelling out what we see in the future.
Thank you.
All right. Well, so it's Christmas week. Lots of people are traveling, but 3 terrific guests are joining us for next week's show. House Appropriations Chairman Travis Cummings will discuss his plans for the upcoming legislative session. We're going to ask some similar questions to get the Democratic perspective. That's from State Representative Tracy Davis. And then leaders from the historic St. Augustine Lighthouse and Maritime Museum, they've got some news to share. So join us for that. This Week in Jacksonville, we air each Sunday morning at this time. I'm Cat Justice. Thanks for watching On Air on Channel 4 and the CW17. And you can find us online at news4jax.com.
More people in Northeast Florida and South Georgia get their news from News 4 Jax than anywhere else.